Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G, a money, Grant Mitchell. We are 2 subscribers away from 200. 2 away from 200. So smash the subscribe button right now. Bada boom. Man, the people in the room. G Money, Grant Mitchell. How you doing?
I'm pumped up, Tanner. Finally, NBA Finals week. I've been waiting for this all season, as we know. We got some crazy drama going on with death threats being made against an MLB All-Star. We got the NFL coming around the corner. People are back at camp at OTAs. Stephon Diggs, listen to our last podcast. He made his way back up to New England. So, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm excited.
Diggs looks like he's on cocaine. The way he's flying around the field right now, he looks fast.
Did you see the drill he did against, was it Kendrick Bourne or Kayshon Boutte, whoever it was? He had to chase him down, and Diggs is 6 months off an ACL tear. Other guy's completely healthy, and Diggs chased him down.
With that being said, though, it still doesn't really matter.
In what sense? He's going to jail for drug distribution?
No, he's not going to jail with his big, beautiful woman on the boat. He's just, it doesn't matter. Like the Patriots, like he does not make a difference on this team. Like we're treating him like star diva receiver, and he's 32 off an injury in a situation where there's no other explosive weapons besides Mac Hollins to help him get open. So I don't think it makes a difference, but he is flying around the field right now, flying around. Like whatever Vrabel said to him, like get your ass to practice, it worked out.
So actually, I did want to talk about that because that was a whole discussion point on our last podcast. He was at practice, clearly. That looked like a Vrabel call to me. The level of intensity, and granted, we only saw a couple clips on social media, but for him to be going that hard, didn't seem like a Drake May call. Seemed like a Vrabel call.
Drake May's throwing interceptions like crazy, I hear.
So that, I hear that with a lot of quarterbacks during the offseason every year, and I'll be honest, it doesn't bother me. Because, I mean, these guys have been off for a while. It's a timing thing. You bring in new receivers. You got to get the chemistry with them. Sometimes you bring in just new players in general. They run the wrong routes because they don't know the playbook well. It's not really until we get to like the preseason portion where I really start paying attention to that stuff. And also, I want my quarterback I want him to try stuff right now. Try stuff that you wouldn't think of doing in a game, but like, what's the harm in trying it now? See if it works.
I totally agree with that, Grant. 100% agree. We will see what happens to the New England Patriots. I still think 9 wins is very lofty for them. But there's a little alternate line on FanDuel. I got a good parlay I'm going to give out a little later in the show. So stick around. I got a good season-long parlay. Should I give it now?
Why not? Let's hear it.
All right. Well, FanDuel is currently down for me. So that's an issue. So I don't know the exact odds. But you're going to take the Patriots over 5.5 wins, and you're going to parlay that with UConn over 7.5 wins.
UConn football. Oh, yeah. 7.5. Yeah.
UConn football, because they're going to go 9-3 this year.
Let me see if I can get that for you. Over 5.5 wins is only minus 450 for the Patriots.
It was like minus 375 yesterday.
Well, I mean, clearly the people, did you put this on your Twitter account or something?
I did. That's why
they're listening.
What's UConn over should be minus 106. It opened minus 110 last night, and now it's minus 106 on the over, I think.
Yeah, it is minus 106. So that parlay gets you to just about plus 140.
I'll tell you this right now, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about the Huskies because they're, we're not UConn football. It's not a joke. Like UConn football is kind of back a little bit, but let me just run through their schedule right now. Central Connecticut State University, win. Syracuse, loss. Delaware, win. Ball State, win. Buffalo, win. FIU, win. Boston College, potentially win, but we'll call it a loss. Rice, win. UAB, win. Duke, loss. Air Force, win. FAU, win. They can afford to lose one game they're supposed to win, and then they can lose the ones they're supposed to lose. Duke, BC, and Syracuse.
I'm not going to act like I know a lot about the UConn roster. It sounded to me as if you gave them a lot of 50-50s, but we'll see.
50-50s. I mean, it comes down to NIL. That was the reason UConn was like over 4.5 last year, because people didn't know the money they were giving out. They were dishing out money like crazy. I guarantee they're giving out more money than Ball State, Buffalo, FIU, Rice, UAB, Air Force, and FAU. So
they probably are. I mean, they got the money. They have it to spend. It's just a matter of, do they want to reallocate that? Because, most of it's going to basketball.
Yeah. So make sure you guys parlay that here on FanDuel, whatever sports book you're using, but FanDuel, Caesars, any of them have. Not many teams had UConn open. Like FanDuel just got it up yesterday, so they should be coming up on most books. Anyways, Grant, this is Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We are presented by WSN, the World Sports Network. If you don't know what the World Sports Network is, you just found out, and you need to go click the link down in the description below, because there are previews on there, betting previews. There are sports betting promo codes that are going to get you free money. There are, what else, Grant? The podcast links, the articles on everything. There's news articles on there too. If you like sports betting news, there's stuff on that. It's great. So go check it out.
Yeah. And just probably for the fine print, it's not actually free money, but it is bonus bets. So you can get more opportunities to bet. You can get parlay insurance. You can get profit boosts where normally you bet $1, you win 5. Well, now you're winning 10 all of a sudden. Just go to WSN.com. You'll get all that stuff over there.
Responsible gaming, police. Grant, got it. Yeah, that's right. It's not free money. It's bonus bets. But if you bet 5 and you win, you get 200 in bonus bets. So you know what? You know what you can do with that, Grant? You take 100 on each side of a bet, put it on something. That's free money. There you go. Anyways, we have a lot to talk about today. The Indiana Pacers are undefeated in the playoffs with Caitlin Clark in the building. Caitlin Clark needs to show up for all 7 games to give them a chance to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals. Grant, this will be the most unwatched NBA Finals of all time. This could be the most boring NBA Finals of all time. Whether it's good games or not, nobody cares about Shea, foul merchant, Alexander, free throw merchant, going against. I do like Tyrese Halliburton, but I don't care. Like, I'm so into football right now. My mindset, I don't know what this, watching the Red Sox lose last night, watching the Celtics get beat, watching the Knicks lose, like, I'm just on to football.
So you definitely have to be a real basketball fan to enjoy these finals. And I'm not going to blame I'm not going to say that people are being bad fans. That's the environment that's been created. That's the culture. And it's because of the way the game is covered. For every Zach Lowe and Tim Legler and JJ Redick when he was doing podcasting before he became a coach, there's 10, 20 media members who just want to argue about, we can have a great game happen in the playoffs, and they're talking about what's Giannis's next team. What is LeBron's contract going to be? What is Luka's diet right now? Well, where does this person rank historically? These playoffs don't mean as much because the league isn't as good as it was in the 90s. Shea's flopping because this league is soft and we need to go back to the 80s. The way the game is covered is not because people actually love the game. A lot of the commentators just want to go up there and argue about whatever random topics are. But if you are actually a fan of basketball, you're getting the 2 best teams in the league. I know that the Pacers is a 4 seed, and it doesn't sound like that. Since January 1st, the Thunder have the best record. The Pacers are number 2. They're actually ahead of the Boston Celtics, who are number 2 for a while. So you are getting 2 teams that have been playing exceptionally well for a very long team. The Thunder have the best offense in the play. Let me start over. The Thunder have the best defense in the playoffs. The Pacers have the best offense in the playoffs. So this is the matchup that you want from a pure basketball perspective. Now, the Thunder are the heaviest favorites in NBA Finals history. So even though these 2 teams are both playing great, sportsbooks don't think it's going to be close. The Pacers would be the largest underdogs to win in NBA Finals history. That title currently belongs to the 04 Pistons, who beat the Shaq Kobe Lakers. And also the Pacers would be the largest preseason underdog to win the championship. Back in the preseason, they were tied with the Pelicans for 15th in finals odds at plus 5,000. Currently, the largest preseason underdog was actually the Warriors. The first year they won the title with Steph Curry in his MVP year, they were plus 2,800 in the 2014-15 season. So that's how I will set the scene for what we're going to talk about here.
The only way the series gets interesting to the general public is if the Pacers can pull off an upset, I think, in game 1 and game 2. Like, they got to win one of those games, because you go back to Indiana down 2-0, you figure Thunder are going to take one of those games. It's 3-1 going back to Oklahoma City. It's just it's not a recipe for success. Like, Indiana needs to win one of these games. I don't know if they're going to, but if they don't, there's no reason to really tune in for this. Like, I get it. These are the 2 quote unquote best teams in the league statistically, but just from an interest perspective, like, I'm biased being a Boston Celtic fan. We would rather see the Celtics in this series. We'd rather see the Knicks in this series, just because it would produce a little more eyeballs. Like, you want to watch the big market teams. And I like the Pacers. I really do. I like the Thunder, but like the Thunder aren't really flashy. The Pacers aren't super flashy. Like, I think there's more interest around the Pacers coming into this than the Thunder, honestly.
Yeah, there is. The Thunder are just, I think you get this with great teams. Now, Shea is having an exceptional year and he was the MVP, but for whatever reason, he hasn't been in the spotlight. And maybe that goes back to the small market thing. Maybe it's because he doesn't have a very large personality. But normally, when they're just great teams who just go to work, do their job, move on, they're totally consistent, no injuries, no dramas, nobody hogging the headlines. People just kind of ignore them. It's just because they don't have the storylines going for them, and that's kind of where the Thunder have found themselves.
Yeah, and it's not fun to watch. It's really not. When I look at this Thunder team, we brought it up on the last show. They're like UConn a few years ago. When they go up by a certain amount, they just bury teams. They're very good. I think they definitely have an edge over the Pacers because their ability to play defense and score. The Pacers can definitely score, but it doesn't work. Like what the Pacers have done in the playoffs, these unbelievable comebacks, it does not work against teams that handle their business. And that's what the Thunder do. So if the Pacers are in a situation in the fourth quarter where they can have this, unprecedented comeback, I'm not going to bet on that happening. And it sure as hell not going to happen 4 times in the series. So the Pacers got to come out and set the tone. They got to be within striking distance throughout the entire game, because if they go down 10 to 12 points, not saying it's over, but the Thunder have been very good at burying everybody in the playoffs when they get those double-digit leads.
Yeah, the one thing I've said about the Pacers throughout these playoffs, and it's normally something that I say about great quarterbacks, is they have answers. Defenses ask questions. The Pacers always have answers. Now, the Thunder ask more questions than anybody. They have the lowest defensive rating in the league. They force the most turnovers per game, most points off of turnovers per game, most fast break points per game. So the Pacers are going to have a lot thrown at them. Lou Dort is going to face guard Tyrese Halliburton, and he's going to be super physical with him. And Halliburton, although he's faced good defenders in these playoffs, has not faced somebody with that level of physicality whose full-time job is just to stick on them. While the Thunder have been better than anybody at getting these leads and forcing these runs, the Pacers have been better than anybody at making tough shots. Also, if we look at clutch rating in these playoffs, so games in the final 5 minutes with scores within 5 points, the Pacers have outscored their opponents by 37 points per 100 possessions. So they have been completely dominant in close games at the end. If you are Indiana, can you get to that point in the game? Because as we were just talking about, the end of the second quarter, the start of the third quarter, that's when the Thunder open up these huge leads. And while Indiana has shown an ability to play from behind, that's not where you want to be when you're going against the best team in the NBA. Indiana's also shown an ability to play from the front, but are they going to have that level of success early in the games to get them to that point where they are in the lead? I don't know. We'll find out.
I like Indiana as a team down 5 points in the fourth quarter. Like, I think that's where they're going to thrive. And I don't know if you're going to be able to get away with that against the Thunder. You can't be down 10 at that point. But if you're down 5, like around that going start of the fourth quarter, mid fourth quarter, I feel pretty good about the Pacers. That means they're hanging in there. They're in a spot where they know they can win from. They have the confidence to do that. If this series becomes like what we saw against, if it turns into a series where like the Pacers comebacks that they had, like what game was it against the Knicks, Grant? Game 2, right? Game 1?
Game
1, right?
Game 1. Yeah, game 1.
Tyrese Halliburton. Like that stuff, that black magic is not going to happen. So they cannot afford to be in that situation at all in the series and expect to win games, which makes it hard because that is how they won a lot of games in the playoffs. They have not been the enforcer, just dominating everything, which is the biggest issue. It's been the comeback kids more than the enforcer. And you can't win with that style against the Thunder.
Yeah, I don't want to say that they haven't shown that they can't dominate teams. I think it's been almost a 50-50 split. And even still, a 50-50 split against the other teams you faced when you're about to face the Thunder isn't great. You want to be dominating consistently. To the Caitlin Clark point, they're 7-0 with her in the building. I will say game 3, which would be the first one in Indiana, is on June 11th. On June 10th, the Fever are at Atlanta, but they don't have a game until the 14th, and it is back in Indiana. So if Caitlin Clark can get on a plane the night of that Atlanta game, come home. She should be in the building for game 3.
That's the only chance they have to win. She needs to go to every game because they only got 3 at home.
Maybe they can get her a jersey.
Well, she's not playing right now for the Fever, right?
Yeah,
isn't it crazy? Like, nobody talks about the WNBA right now. Like, she is the meal ticket for the WNBA.
Are we going to relitigate this conversation?
No, we're not going to relitigate it. But like, have you heard about the WNBA in the past couple of weeks?
I've actually, the only thing I've heard of is Nafisa Collier has now become a huge MVP favorite, and Caitlin Clark is second, but she's out for 2 weeks. So
that's because Caitlin Clark got hurt. Tell me a storyline you've heard that like doesn't have to do with Caitlin Clark.
Well, I've heard lasting conversations about the Ryan Clark RG3 stuff. Angel Reese, I think it was actually Nafisa Collier. She got in a fight with her the other night, and people were saying, "Does Angel Reese hate black women too?" It's just a mess now.
Yeah, the league isn't ready for the press it's getting, I think. But anyways, it all revolves around Caitlin Clark. I blame the NBA, Grant. I don't think the WNBA does a great job a lot of times with how they do things, how they go about their business. The NBA usually does a really good job with how they go about their business. I blame the scheduling here. I blame how they've scheduled. The playoff schedule has been horrendous. It's terrible. I don't want to wait. I'm sorry. Like, we can't have these playoffs go on for 2 months. It can't happen. I look at the Celtics series against the Magic way back when, like, that feels like it was an eternity ago. I was still wearing sweatpants outside. We can't have that and then finish in late June. Like, once this series goes 7, it's almost July.
Yeah, so this is my problem, and I'm different from you that I don't have a problem with how long it takes, but I only feel that way if the scheduling is consistent and it makes sense. What I don't get is, let's look back at what the Pacers just did. So they play the Knicks. They play game 1, 2 days of rest. Game 2, 2 days of rest. And then 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days. Then we get 6 days between the final game of that series, game 1 of these finals. Then it's 3 days of rest, 3 days, 2 days, 3, 3, 3. It's just, it's the finals. So you want the highest level of you want the best version of the product possible, I guess. So you give them the extra day of rest, but let's just keep it consistent throughout. Like, let's alternate. Let's go 2 every day. Let's go 3 every day. Let's alternate 2, 3, whatever it is. Let's figure something out. Let's not change it just randomly based on the series.
It should be 1 night off between games. Travel, it's 2 nights off. Like, especially, and if the teams are close, like Oklahoma to Indiana is not that bad of a travel. Like, you can get away with going 2 nights off there. If this was LA, Boston, I'd give them 3 nights off maybe in between for travel days. But this is just, the scheduling's horrendous because, like, it shouldn't go till the end of July. Like, I'm sorry. If you know what, if these guys are too beat up at this point where they need this much rest, you got to shorten the regular season.
And that's the big thing there. The regular season needs to be shorter. We're at the point, and I think the biggest problem with doing that is it completely changes history and stat keeping and records, right? Because most points in a season, most whatever in a season is basically gone. You're going to have to rework the collective bargaining agreement because right now you got to play 65 games to be eligible for these awards. If we go from 82 to 72, now we've got to translate that percentage. So instead of 65 games, now it's probably like 57. Basically, everything that I'm saying is the problem doesn't have to do with the actual change itself. It's about the numbers that are in place. But we've gotten to that point where players and the NBA media really and fans have decided you're only judged by what you do in the postseason. That's the only thing that matters. So when we're watching these playoffs compared to the regular season, it's 2 completely separate sports. Players are not trying their hardest in the regular season. And honestly, a lot of the times, those who do try their hardest in the regular season end up getting punished. Players get injured or they're more tired by the time they get to the playoffs. The Lakers made it to the conference finals as a 7 seed against the Denver Nuggets the year they won the title. And then they were back in the conference finals the next year. And the Minnesota Timberwolves were 6 seed in back-to-back years and got to the conference finals both times.
Yeah, and the biggest issue is they make too much money. And they don't make too much money for what they bring in because they're getting paid for what they actually bring in. But the problem is you can't motivate these guys with money at all. So it's like, what is their incentive to play 82 games? They have none.
No, you're right.
So that's where, I mean, you got bench play. I mean, and I love Peyton Pritchard. He's underpaid. What's he making? $9 million a year?
Something like that.
Six,
Yeah.
7, 8 million. I mean, like he's underpaid. He should be making a lot more than he is actually making. The Celtics did a great job with that contract. So anyways, Grant, going back to the most unwatched NBA finals in NBA history, the bets. Game one. Let's start game one. OKC -9, Indiana +9. Grant, you let me down in the last game of the Thunder versus Timberwolves series. You're like, I like +8, whatever it was. That was an embarrassing effort for Minnesota. I don't. They look like they'd never played basketball before in their lives, and
it was horrible to watch.
it was horrible. I don't think anyone would have predicted that. So, what is you got to get back on track here? What do you got in game one?
I mean, I'll be honest, this one's tough because the Pacers are undefeated in game 1 and game 2 throughout these playoffs, and then they're winless in game 3, which is just very weird. I'm going to take the Thunder -9. They are just absurdly dominant on their home floor. I do love what the Pacers have shown, but the Thunder went 2-0 straight up and 2-0 against the spread when they played the Pacers during the regular season. I think this is an adjustment in physicality for the Pacers going against this Thunder defense. The Thunder, it's not quite an adjustment. I mean, everything is an adjustment in pace when you play Indiana because they do play so fast. However, the Thunder like to play at that tempo as well when they can get in transition. So, although they might not have played another team that plays like that, they want to play like that. So, I don't think it'll be as much of a shock for them as Indiana going from a bad Knicks defense to an elite and physical and deep Thunder defense. So I am going to take the Thunder to win big there. I'll be honest, I see a world in which the Pacers win just because, as I've said a bunch of times now, they have answers for every test that they've been handed, but I will take the better team, the more rested team, the team at home.
All right, series spread. Pacers +2.5 at +120, or Indiana or Thunder -2.5 at -140.
This is really tough for me because I think those odds are fair. And we were talking before we started recording here. I see a world in which the Pacers can push this to 7 games. I maybe even win it, although I would put those chances at pretty slim, but I don't want to disrespect them. They're like 46-16 since the start of the year. They're a terrific team. But if you ask a Pacers fan, what's the final score of the finals going to be? They're going to say Pacers in 7. You ask a Thunder fan, they're going to say Thunder in 4, Thunder in 5. This reminds me of the 2017 or 2018 finals, Cavs Warriors. All the Cavs fans said Cavs in 7. All the Warriors fans said Warriors in 4. When that happens, it's the favorite that usually wins out. So I would say Thunder in 5. I hope it's not like that. I hope it is a more competitive series. And I respect the Pacers. You should know this by now because I've been saying this for months. I respect the Pacers just as much as anybody out there, but I think the Thunder got this one.
Thunder in 5 is definitely the move. If it goes 6, I'd be surprised. I think Thunder in 5 is definitely the best bet. And you get some good value there. Thunder in 5 +250. If you like Thunder in 6 +450, that's probably a better way of doing things than going Pacers +2.5 on the series spread. A lot of different ways you can spread your money out here. But I would definitely say Thunder in 5 is just the pick that makes sense. I don't know if it's going to happen, but when you look at these teams on paper, you look at what the Thunder have done in the postseason, Thunder in 5 makes a whole lot of sense here. And I think we'll be able to tell a lot after game 1. If the Pacers stick with them in game 1, even lose a tight game, maybe that gives you a little more confidence in them moving forward. But if the Thunder do come out, cover that 9-point spread, like Grant said, I just don't have a lot of confidence in Indiana throughout the series. Like if you go down 2-0, you can't afford to go down 2-0. I know we always say like the series does not start until a team loses on their home floor. You got to count on the Thunder taking at least 1 in Indiana. So you need to take 1 in Oklahoma City.
The Pacers, first team in NBA history to start the season 10-15 and then end up in the NBA Finals.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Again, that's why nobody cares, though. Like I would want, and I know I'm just the Celtics. They blew their chances this year. The Knicks, say what you want about the Knicks. I'd have more interest probably if the Knicks were in. I don't want to see the bing bong Knicks in the thing with all their fans running around Madison Square Garden like a bunch of hooligans. Okay, I don't want to see that. I want to see Hans Perez courtside. That's what I want to see. But when I look at just interest level, I would have more interest if I was, and you would too, Grant. Like if you were an innocent bystander with no affiliation to a team, Like, you would rather see the Celtics versus the Thunder because we know it's going to be a great series. We want to see that, and that would put Shea in like the golden boy role. Like, I think that would elevate him a little more than beating the Pacers. Not saying the ring's not going to mean something to him, but Shea going against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in the Celtics dynasty, that elevates him. Like, this series doesn't necessarily elevate him. They're just expected to win.
I agree 100%. One more thing that makes me confident about the Thunder here, Tanner, at DraftKings, 36% of bets, 56% of money on the Thunder at -9. At FanDuel, 42% of bets on the Thunder, 57% of the money on the Thunder. Smart money on the Thunder. Sharp money.
Yeah, I can't look at FanDuel right now because I have planned maintenance on my browser, which doesn't make any. Maybe it's Chrome. What browser are you using?
Chrome.
I don't know what's up then. Maybe they're trying to keep me out. They know I'm going to do some damage.
They don't want you to bet the Patriots UConn parlay.
No, that one. They probably took the site down because so many people are rushing to bet Patriot UConn season win total parlay. All right, Grant. Anyways, Caitlin Clark has to be there 7 games. If she doesn't, it's Thunder in 5. That's my pick.
Agreed. Are we going around the horn now?
We're going around the horn. So this segment is a new segment for us where we're kind of going to talk about everything that interests us on the internet this week. And first, we can start with Lance McCullers Jr. because he does start today for the Houston Astros. He is pitching against Paul Skeens and the Pirates. The Astros are +130 on the money line. Do not expect a lot from Lance McCullers Jr. coming off his last start. So, Grant, why don't you set the stage for the people?
Yeah, so Lance McCullers Jr., there was an article that came out yesterday. I actually just finished writing one, which is how I know about this. But basically, Lance McCullers Jr. on May 10th went 0.1 innings, gave up 7 earned runs against the Cincinnati Reds. The Astros ended up losing 13-9, so they made a game out of it, but they still lost. Lance McCullers Jr. receives a message from an overseas bettor who says, "I will find you and I will murder your children," which is crazy.
It's not funny. It's not funny. But like, we're laughing, but it's like, it's funny.
We're laughing because it's so out of pocket. You can't do that.
It's funny that people take it this far, but like, they're not serious, but it's funny that they take it this far to the point where they're going to say something like, again, they don't mean it. Like, we haven't seen any athletes killed over gambling, but like, it's crazy that they take it this far.
No athletes in America. In South America,
definitely in South America. Definitely, yeah, that was a mistake. Definitely in South America, there's been some hostages.
I mean, one of your guys, who was it? Liam Hendricks? I think it was Liam Hendricks put out I have the quote. I'm just trying to remember who said it. I think it was Liam Hendricks.
He said Liam Hendricks, yeah.
Yeah, he said threats against my life and my wife's life are horrible and cruel. You need help. Comments telling me to commit suicide and how you wish I died from cancer are disgusting and vile. Maybe you should take a step back and reevaluate your life's purpose before hiding behind a screen, attacking players and their families.
I'm going to take an unpopular opinion here. In no way do I condone people giving death threats or telling that, he should have died from his cancer thing. But like, with that being said, you are a professional athlete. You are in the spotlight. You get paid to do a job that people watch. So with that being said, this is par for the course. Like, I'm not saying it's right, but the fact that you're getting this, like, if you get a death threat, like, you are a professional athlete in a situation, like, you speaking out on it, it's one thing. Like, I guess it shows that it's bothering you and it's getting to you. Like, I would hope, and again, it's wrong. It's 100% wrong, but you are a professional athlete. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's par for the course. You get paid this money to deal with stuff like this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's actually what we were saying about the WNBA too, when the WNBA launched that investigation into the monkey sounds, and it ended up just being a laughing track. Yeah. But it's wrong. It's 1,000,000% wrong, and people speaking out on it, they should bring awareness to this, try to get it out of the sport. But you also do have to be paid to handle it. And the Houston Astros got on top of this. They hired 24-hour security for McCullers. Right thing to do. They ended up tracking this guy down. We don't know his name or where he lives. We know that he does live overseas. He admitted to doing it. He said he was drunk when it happened and he was angry. And he sent an apology to Lance McCullers Jr. and his wife and kids.
Now, let me ask you something. Lance McCullers signed a 5-year extension worth $85 million. I will take a death threat for 5 years, $85 million if I'm getting personal security and they're going to track the guy down. That's
Well, I mean, it's not a death threat against you; it's against your kid, which is probably worse to most people.
It probably is. But again, do you want to trade that 5 years, $85 million to go be an accountant in corporate?
As long as nothing happens, then
yeah, as long as nothing happens. Like again, like you're in a situation where they got security, they got security for your kids, they track the person down. It's not right. It's 100% not right. But I am in the and people are psycho, but I'm in the mindset, and this is what my mindset on this will never change. You are paid to be a professional athlete. You are going to deal with scrutiny from the public, from the media, from like, again, like LeBron and Bronny, like LeBron going after Stephen A. Like, I don't think Bronny's off limits for Stephen A because it's just that's their job to create pop and create media buzz and tell stories and do all this stuff. Is it right? Probably not. But these guys make a lot of money to deal with the repercussions. And this is the negative side effect of being a professional athlete. It's not easy to be a professional athlete, but you were getting paid the money to deal with things like this. And good for the Astros hiring, the security to make sure nothing bad happens. But in the end of the day, you're a professional athlete. If you don't perform, you're going to get scrutiny. People take it too far. However, that's the side effect of being a professional athlete. If you want to trade in that professional athlete, you don't have to be, but you're going to get stuff like this. It's just how it is.
And somebody from a company called Sport Radar, which is an MLB partner, they also made a good point, which was you've seen cases like this spike because of sports betting since it was legalized, but that's only related to sports betting. You've seen this related to racism and misogyny and people who are just all sorts of different criteria, I guess, all different ways to sort of base your prejudice on. There's always been abuse in professional sports. It's ticked up in sports betting because sports betting is legalized, but it's always been there, and unfortunately, it probably always will be.
Yeah. Now, if you're putting enough money on a game to like send a death threat, like, yeah, you probably should take the unit size down a little bit.
Yeah, call the number.
But again, like if you get people like a death threat is the next step up from like criticism for play, and it's bad and it's wrong, but it's just part of the job. That's the bottom line. It's part of the job. That's what we've come to. If you don't want to be a professional, you're going to get, I'll tell you this, if you're a college athlete right now, even college athletes get it. Like everyone gets it. So like, let's say if you don't want a death threat if you don't want to be at the top of your sport, if you don't want a death threat, don't play sports. Like that's what it comes down to. That's just the world we live in today. It is what it is.
So a similar story, which also came out over the weekend. Now, I don't know if this was Saturday or Sunday, but there was an event in Philadelphia called it was part of Grand Slam Track. I think the event was called Grand Slam Philadelphia. This is the new track league that is an attempt by the former world record holder in the 200 and the 400, basically trying to make track a mainstream sport. It's different from previous attempts because this actually has a media rights deal and they're getting on television and athletes are paid for appearances, which they weren't before. So it's revolutionary for the sport. Their first two events were overseas. This is the first one in America, and they actually had a pretty good turnout in Philadelphia. But there was a Twitter user who goes by Mr. 100K a day, and apparently he put some money on a female sprinter named Gabby Thomas to lose. And this is a direct quote. He said, "I made Gabby lose by heckling her, and it made my parlay win." He shouted at her, "You're going down, Gabby," called her a choke artist, and shouted he wanted Melissa Jefferson Wooden to win because she married a black man while Gabby Thomas is engaged to a white man. The user posted screenshots of his winning from 2 and 4 leg parlays. He wagered $1,200, won more than $2,500. Gabby Thomas responded, says, "This grown man followed me around the track as I took pictures and signed autographs, shouting personal insults at me. Anybody who enables him online is gross."
That's okay. Well, here's the thing. Great. You're giving me tough things to react to today. If you want, again, the track athletes aren't used to this. I'll say this. The track athletes aren't used to this. But you don't think the starting quarterback for whatever NFL team is not getting heckled in their pregame warmups on the field? Come on.
It's the first thing you said there. Track athletes in no way are used to this. Track is I think it's probably just because it is a smaller sport, but it's one of those sports where there's more of a level of decorum maintained because you don't have these crazy drunk fans in the stadiums. Now you might if this Grand Slam track league works out and then let's just say it becomes a mainstream event and you've got 10,000, 20,000 people in the stands, then this is going to happen every time you go out to perform.
Yeah, so you want the press, you want the attention, you're going to get more like again, like let's look at Angel Reese. Angel Reese getting all this attention. Does she want it? I don't know, but like she's getting it and she's getting criticized. She could go back to the old WNBA where nobody watches and not get talked about at all. So it's the double-edged sword here. Like you want your sport to blow up, like people are going to bet because betting runs the world at this point. No one's going to show, not nobody, but less people are going to show up to a track event if they can't bet on it rather than if they're just going to watch people run.
No, yeah, it's definitely it helps open the door to people. Like when you started going to your WNBA games at Mohegan Sun, a lot of it was because you wanted to go bet on the games.
We were heckling. We were heckling in the stands. You know, we were getting after it. We were trying to win bets. Like that's part of being a fan. Now, do it respectfully. Like, you know, the situation with Jaren Durant for the Red Sox when the guy comes down in Cleveland and says, yeah, you should have killed yourself. Like, yeah, not good. Not good. He was banned. Again, going back to our situation before, that's not right on the fan to say it, but it's also just the right. It's not the right of the fan to say it, but it's
the job of the fan. Every fan who goes to a game has a job. Yeah. And your job is to get your team or your athlete to win and everyone else to lose. Now, like you said, there are lines you don't want to cross. You want to keep it within those. But if he was now, Gabby Thomas did say he was following her around, shouting personal insults. If that's things directed at her family or kids, then that's different. But if he's just following around calling her ugly or dumb or whatever, then that's part of it.
So I was coaching high school football. And we were playing with Catholic school rivalry, you know, big rivalry. We had a kid on our team who he didn't go to college. Like he played his senior year. He stayed back. He worked as an EMT or whatever, trying to do like that's EMT or HVAC. I know two different things, but like he was helping out on the he was
letters.
He was an HVAC and he was trying to get an EMT. I don't know, but he was helping out coach the team, right? So we're doing warm-ups and we're on like their side of the field. These kids are leaning into, they know everything about him. Like, should have went to college. Like, what are you doing here? They knew his girlfriend. They knew his mother's name. They knew everything about him. I'm just like, this is what sports is all about in the end of the day. And I know, again, don't get me wrong, like these track athletes perform at extremely high levels, but like you don't get the chirp. You don't get it unless you play football, basketball, really football, basketball, I would say. Those are the two.
Baseball, yeah.
To a degree. I mean, like college baseball at the biggest level, yes. But like it's just that's part of the game. Like you want your game to grow. Like people are going to bet on you. People are going to shout things about who you're married to and racism. And like, we talk about LeBron. Like LeBron hates playing in Boston because they're so racist, right, Grant?
I think it's Utah, but yeah.
I thought you said Boston.
Oh, well, no, like Boston is known as one of the hotbeds of it, but if you were to power rank them, Utah is number one for most players. Like that's where Russell Westbrook almost fought the fan.
There you go. So that's the Mormon energy out in Utah. It's hard, but like I think the fan has a right to say what they want to say. Obviously, when they cross the line, then it becomes an issue. But it's athletes' jobs to deal with it when it crosses the line because that's what they're getting paid to do.
Yeah, and I mean this is the most extreme example possible, but when Jackie Robinson broke into the league, it wasn't because he was the first talented black baseball player. There were others, but he was chosen because there was a belief that he had the temperament to be able to handle it. His military service had prepared him to deal with all of the abuse that was going to come his way. And again, that's a super extreme example, and players should not have to deal with anything like that. But it is a situation where if you're trying to make these sweeping changes for your sport, whether it's the WNBA becoming mainstream, track becoming mainstream, things like this are going to happen. And it's unfortunate, but it's true.
Now, the NCAA commercial, the one that we always see where it's like you should only losers like chirp athletes or something after gambling losses. Like I've been watching the college softball. They've been showing that a lot. Granted, you can bet on college softball right now. Like you can bet on, but they have like a swimmer on there. They have like a female tennis player on there. Like, can we just put football and basketball on there, please? Like, can we just put football and basketball?
I mean, the reality is that people are betting on these sports because they don't have football and basketball to watch.
I know, but for the sake of the commercial, can we just put football and basketball? Like I'm not. I don't know how. There's probably a few if they post the lines, but like nobody's betting on the women's tennis NCAA tournament. Maybe they are. I don't know. And maybe those are the craziest people if they're doing that. Maybe those are where the death threats are coming from. I'm not sure, but it's football and basketball.
Well, speaking of football, Tanner, we can take this on over to the NFL, where Deion Sanders says that he was hurt by reports that his son Shedeur Sanders was unprepared during this pre-draft meetings with the NFL teams. There's a lot of talk about he didn't study his playbook. His recall was off. He was disrespectful. He had the AirPods and was on FaceTime during a meeting, all that stuff. But then Deion did say the Bible says God uses the foolish things to confound the wise. So is this a situation where all the reporting is wrong? I don't even know what he references foolish things, and I don't know what would be foolish here aside from calling these reports fake, and it's fake reports that have ruined the perspective of Shedeur in the media. And I'll be honest, I kind of doubt that many people would lie or corroborate these fake reports. Now, is it as extreme as it's being made out to be by the media? Maybe not, but I believe Shedeur didn't do great in some of his pre-draft interviews.
Yeah, I mean, Shedeur, it's an interesting situation. Like nobody knows what's going to go. Nobody knows what went on behind closed doors. I don't think scouts lie, obviously, to try to get rumors out there because they want this kid to fall to them or that or whatever. But like, you got to be a sick individual. Again, we're talking about sick people that give death threats to players. You got to be a sick individual. To the one scout who put the quote out about like everything from the cologne he was wearing to walking in with the headphones, like that's a pretty ballsy quote. It was also given out when he was dropping, so I'm not sure if somebody wanted him to continue dropping.
That seemed like a personal beef more than anything.
That seemed like a personal beef. And who knows? Deion's got a big reputation and all that. The biggest thing is here, all we know is the facts. The facts is he did not throw at the combine. The facts are that, you know, he did answer questions. There were some cocky answers at the combine on the stand. He didn't throw there. He didn't want to compete. Like that stuff we can look at, and I can look to that and say, well, he didn't want to compete. But again, other quarterbacks have done that and not fallen. Maybe he just wasn't that good in the scout's eyes, but I guarantee he's better than Dillon Gabriel. I guarantee he's going to be more NFL ready than Dillon Gabriel. So that's what we can look at. Tyler Shaw, the 20s, he's as old as me, and he just got drafted. So I guarantee he's better than him. Like there's a lot of situations where we look to these quarterbacks that went ahead of him. So yeah, that kid was better. Bo Nix, no, not Bo Nix. Jackson Dart. Love Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart, that's acceptable. It's not acceptable for him to go, 2 rounds later to the same team as Dillon Gabriel. And poor Dillon Gabriel, nobody got the shaft more than him because nobody's talking about Dillon Gabriel. They're only talking about Shedeur Sanders. Like Shedeur Sanders is going to start for them this year.
And keep in mind, the Browns also have Flacco and Pickett and Deshaun. Dillon Gabriel might get cut.
It's hard because like 3rd round, you really don't cut rounders.
Was he third? I think he might have been 4th.
I think he was 3rd. I thought he went. Maybe I'm wrong.
Let me see here. If he was 3rd, that would be crazy.
Because they took Shedeur in the 5th, so I don't think they went.
Oh no, he was the 94th pick, which would either be end of the 3rd, top of the 4th.
3rd round, the last pick, like one of the last picks of the 3rd round. So.
I mean, all this reporting I've seen out of Cleveland, and granted, it's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, where like I don't really care about interception, all of that stuff. This could all mean nothing. But from what I've been reading, Shedeur's been the best performer at their offseason stuff so far.
Which makes sense. I mean, he's going to struggle, but maybe he wasn't worthy of the 1st round grade. I don't know. But maybe it was a vendetta against Deion. I also don't agree with that, where all the NFL owners got together. Because that story would come out too. We're here to win Super Bowls. We're not here. If they think that he's a steal, nobody cares. Like we've seen character issues where dudes are beating up their girlfriends left and right, and like they get drafted ahead. So I don't know.
Joe Mixon knocked that girl out at a bar on camera his senior year at Oklahoma, and then he got drafted in the 2nd round.
Well, I don't know. Like talent over everything. What TOE? That's what they said. Talent over everything. The character is secondary talent. Look at Jalen Carter. And Jalen Carter, killed a dude in the car? It wasn't proven, right?
And I don't think he was driving. He was at, I don't remember the exact story. He was at a drag race where one or two people died. That's all I remember.
Not good, whatever it is, right? He dropped a 10. So Shedeur doesn't have any of that. Like Shedeur comes from a Jesus loving family. Got Jesus Christ on his jersey,
And he's completely stayed out of trouble.
He's completely stayed out of trouble, which is very surprising when you look at the amount of money he has. So Deion has definitely kept him straight. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation. I think he's going to have a good NFL career. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, although I will say I'm not surprised he looks better than Kenny Two Gloves and Dylan Gabriel in 7-on-7s, because the knock on Shedeur was the pocket stuff, pocket awareness, mobility, decision making. If you were just looking at talent, he's the most talented quarterback on that roster.
He's got to stop tapping the ball, like the
patting it.
He can't. That's not going to work in the NFL. But yeah, we'll see what happens with him. I'm rooting for him. I like him. I think he's good. I think he's a good kid.
30 seconds here. Lions Pro Bowl center, All Pro Frank Ragnow retires. I think he made the All Pro 2 straight seasons. Aiden Hutchinson's coming back off that crazy leg injury. Lost both coordinators. Give me Lions over under 11.5 wins. What are we thinking?
I think over, but no one's really talking about the Lions this year. Like last year was all about the Lions. This year they're kind of a thing of the past.
Yeah, I think I would go under, honestly. Getting to the conference championship 2 years ago, not the one before the conference championship last year. I think it might just be the hits might be catching up to him. I'll go under.
We'll see.
And then that's all. You got anything else?
Buccaneers to win the NFC South plus 100. Best deal out there.
Saquon Barkley. Did you see the video of the cover?
Yeah, like people were surprised when they saw the alternate angle of him hitched into the thing that pulls him up.
Yeah, the wires. So I thought he would be, but you couldn't see it in the first angle. And I was starting to believe that it was just him, but I know he did. It didn't look believable, but I convinced myself that it was. But yeah, he definitely had the wires.
Madden's such a bad game anyways. Like I got the bundle last year, whatever, the college football Madden bundle, which I'll get again this year. And I played Madden for about 2 hours and I'm like, I can't play this anymore. Like, this is just not fun for me. Like college football was just so much better. This year, it's going to be even better. They say, like, it's a faster game. It feels better. Like the engine's better on it. And Madden sucks. And I think they're going back to I think there's the high school part of your road to glory. Like you play 4 or 5 high school games beforehand. And then I saw you can decommit from colleges, which I find hilarious. You can throw your hat during your commitment ceremony. It just looks like a lot of fun. And I will say, I did not play a lot of Road to Glory last year. I thought that was the one flaw in the game. Like they messed up Road to Glory, because I know you can elect to come in as the 5-star guy and start right away, but I want a realistic path to being a starter as a 2 or 3-star recruit. I don't want to have to sit there and practice for 3 years to get up to be a starter for my last year. Yeah, I agree with you on that. They definitely wanted to make Dynasty. The Dynasty was their baby. Yeah, Dynasty was great. Dynasty was outstanding. And I want Road to Glory. Because back in the day when I used to play that game, I was a Road to Glory guy. Like I was not a Dynasty guy, a little bit, but more Road to Glory. Now this year I was all Dynasty, because Road to Glory sucked for me. Because I'm like, I don't have the effort and attention to play practices because I don't want to come in as the 5-star guy. I want to come in as the 3-star. I don't want to play practices for 2 years to get to where I want to go. No, it's the same way. I remember, I probably did a million Road to Glories, but I remember one as a running back at Tulsa, and I won the Heisman. Yeah, but that's just not realistic. That wasn't realistic last year. But nope. Anyways, Grant, that was Ride the Line, greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. I like that end of the show. We talked a lot about a lot of topics. We absolutely did. And if you want to stay in tune with what Tanner and I are up to when we're not here talking in front of the cameras, go to WSN.com, home of the World Sports Network. Tanner, myself, and the team of experts are previewing all the big games in the NBA, the MLB, NHL. We're giving out betting picks, and we do have those promo codes where you can get bonus bets, profit boosts, parlay insurance, whatever the deals are, you will find them at WSN.com. That was Ride the Line, guys. We will see you next time for another episode.